This Raw Vision video is brought to you by Metro Solar, proud partner of the Richmond Football Club.
Well, Lidsey, congratulations on becoming a father for the first time. Beautiful little girl, Miller. How smitten are you, mate? You're pretty happy, I'd imagine.
Yeah, mate, as you can imagine, love at first sight. When she came out, it was a bit of a blubbering mess, a few tears rolled down. Oh, she's just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, really. Yeah. It's just the perfect little surprise.
So you feel that your priorities have changed straight away?
Yeah, well, I don't worry about which sock goes on first or which boot I lace up and all those little idiosyncrasies that I have before a game. It gives me a different perspective on things. I'm not as worried about myself anymore. It's all about Miller and Katie and making sure that they're all well and good.
Congratulations to Katie and to Brett Deledio. Well done.
Thanks, Hammer. Yeah, she's still going well, which is good. Allowing me to get plenty of sleep, and she's been good for Katie too, so going well.
3 Millers between us. Maxie's got a Miller, I've got a Miller, you got a Miller.
Well, Katie does. She really enjoys Maxie's wife's style, so she's been on there and loved the name as well, so we thought we'd copy.
Well done. This is you through the years. We end up with you with Miller in your arms, but
cheapest.
Gee, there was some problems early with your hair, wasn't there?
That was normal back then, though.
That was normal. That was on trend, but
on trend.
Yeah, I certainly don't think I'll be going back there unless I get stitched up by something, but yeah.
And we've got you on the far right with Miller. Since Miller, you have been flying. Is there a chance you could have a child every couple of weeks?
I don't think it's possible, but yeah, look, I think it's more to do with how much Katie's been looking after me. She's allowed me to get my sleep when I can and go to training feeling fresh, which is good. So, but Miller's been great. She certainly, like as I said there before, it gives you a different perspective on life.
Well done. Our Western Australian viewers are about to disappear. Fremantle versus North Melbourne at Etihad Stadium, but dig deep for the WA Cancer Council. $5 at Caltex stations or at Domain Stadium this afternoon. So, WA viewers disappearing. It is Fremantle versus North Melbourne. They're going to go now. And suddenly, it's just us. Perth have gone. How does that roll along? Yesterday, you guys were unbelievable. 91 points. And one of the stats which was extraordinary is not one Richmond squad member has ever seen, since they've been alive, a bigger win. Not even Chris Newman was alive when the Tigers won by as much over the Pies. Brilliant yesterday. Lloyd, 3, and they're all within the first 12 minutes. Vickery, 6 straight. Deledio, outstanding. Koch hardly saw it. And still, the Tigers put on an absolute performance, Lee.
Well, it was an interesting game going in. Collingwood, I thought, had probably been better than their win-loss ratio in the recent couple of months. But, I mean, basically this game, the midfields were fairly even, but the extremities of the game were totally dominated by Richmond in defence and Richmond in their forward line. It was almost like a rope-a-dope. The ball was in the Collingwood forward line a lot of the time, but they couldn't score. Then all of a sudden it rebounded back down the other end, and almost automatically Richmond would get it and kick a goal. So they kicked 7 that way in the first quarter from only 12 entries. I think Collingwood had 16. They'd got 3 goals. So that was where the margin was set up, and the game just continued to go into that manner. Their Basher Hooley, he was running the ball off halfback really well, got in towards the 50-metre line a couple of times, kicked a couple of goals. Martin was dangerous as always. So, and then really in the last quarter, then the last 20 minutes, it was just goal after goal for Richmond. Totally dominated. 9 goals in the last quarter. That was when I think the aftermath of a few comments that might have been made by Nathan Buckley and Scott Pendlebury that they'd lost their energy, Collingwood. They'd lost their hope, and then they completely fell away. And unfortunately, we do see that happening fairly regularly late in the year. 3 things I learned. Richmond's goalkeeping from entries was beyond outstanding. They kicked 23 goals from 48 entries, one almost every second time, just outstanding. And partly it was because Collingwood's forwards' efficiency was the direct opposite. The ball was in there a lot, about 58 times, to be honest. In the first half, they kicked 3 goals from 36 entries. Just amazing defensive effort by Richmond. Poor forward play by Collingwood. And I guess Tyrone Vickery played a career best game. 6 goals, 10 marks, 21 disposals. That's a really good game for a big forward. So he led into the ball a few times and got the benefit of getting over the back, as most forwards do in in the way the modern defences are set up. So an outstanding efficiency from the Richmond attack.
When you see him play like that, Brett, it's hard to believe he's been playing in the VFL at any stage this year.
Yeah, you're certainly right. I think it's just good reward for him because he does put in a lot of hard work. He's probably not gifted with a huge tank, but he's in there, a lot, doing extra work and making sure he's getting his body right. But it's great reward for him, and I think he's kicked 10 the last 2 weeks, so he's in good form. But like Dimmer said yesterday, the challenge is for him to keep backing it up. Week in, week out. You've been doing it week in, week out for a long time. In fact, you're our Shaver Shop Transform Yourself Player of the Week. You started your career as a midfielder. Everyone thought that is where you were best. You won best and fairest as a midfielder. But as a forward, you are looking unbelievably comfortable. I suppose I played a lot of footy down there when I was a lot younger, but I do enjoy playing forward, as Rui probably understand as well. It gives you a chance to use your attributes. Mine's probably not grinding it out in the midfield, it's more that repeat speed. Playing forward just gives me that chance and get to play one-on-one with my opponent.
A lot of people have said no Deledio, no Richmond because of the record when you play and when you don't. We see it here, it's pretty stark, but all jokes aside, what happens to the team structurally when you don't play that might account for that sort of stat?
I think, without going into too much detailing, it's just our setups up forward. You bring in someone who might not have played there as much, or you might have a midfielder that's used to playing in the centre of the ground. So, myself and Shane Edwards, when you're missing both of us, I suppose that can do a little bit to your structures, but that's still no excuse, I don't think. I think we should be better than that and be expecting more of our younger players coming in to play
When you do contracts, does your manager just go, here's the facts? Deledio plus Richmond win, no Deledio, no Richmond? He should.
I don't know whether he does that, Hammer. I'll just try and play good footy and let that do the talking. But I'm still signed up for another couple of years yet, so I don't have to worry about it for a while.
Speaking of Shane Edwards, good to see him back from injury. Ended up in the red vest, but I assume that was just a management issue?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, he's missed the last 5 weeks, so it was great to have him back. I mean, you can see his sidestep there, his ability to get out of traffic is as good as anyone's. But yes. Certainly just to let him rest that leg and keep him fresh for the next few games.
I mentioned when I was talking about the game, your defensive group I thought was outstanding. We know how good Rance is, but Batchelor has been really good. He sort of just seems to have had a really good patch of form. Chaplin holding it together back there. So that back group must give you midfield or confidence the ball's going to come out, even if it goes in there.
Yes, you're certainly right. I think they've been probably our best performed line over the whole season, with Rancy and Chappie as our 2 key posts, but then you've got Nick Flosstone and Jake Batchelor, Basher Hooley down there. Taylor Hunt's played some really good footy for us as well. It just gives you a lot of confidence, knowing that they're going to give you a contest down there and it's not going to be easily marked, and then they fill their boots at the end of the game. I think they all had about 5 or 6 marks in the last 5 minutes there, and it wasn't coming forward too much, Hammer.
And Dylan Grimes back in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, he probably could have played almost on the weekend, but they thought they'd give him an extra one just to get him right, and hopefully he comes back in.
You two know Jack Revolt well.
We do.
Hanger of the year or goal of the year? Which do you reckon he'd prefer?
Well, I think he'd prefer mark of the year within the forward 50 and then be able to play on and do something silly and kick goal of the year in the same passage. That's what he'd like. But his form's been really good. It's a different role for him this year, and I think with Vickery kicking goals, it takes a little bit of the pressure off him as well.
Yeah, he's been so unselfish, I think, in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Has been really all year. I think he'd easily be leading our goal assists, but also winning our goals as well. But look, he's changed his role, got up the ground, and he still gets it kicked to him when he's 3-on-1, but he just creates a contest for us and brings myself and Shane, Sammy Lloyd, those sort of boys into the play.
Yeah, Lee, Collingwood +9 inside 50s and they end up losing by that margin. Was it mostly inaccuracy or inefficiency going forward?
Well, they had 5 rush behind, so in terms of scoring shots, on what was off the boot, I'm trying to think what they kicked off the boot, about 7 goals, 9 off the boot. So they actually, the ball was in there a lot, but they didn't generate too many shots, that was for sure. But in the second quarter, when the game was probably still alive, that's when they kicked 5 behinds off the boot. So they actually then weren't getting any reward for their effort.
Is there any side that you can't beat in September?
We certainly don't fear any side. We think if we play good footy that we can take it up to the best of them. But you've got to be playing that good footy. Otherwise, you can see with the way the competition is that if you're not on even 10% off, that you get rolled.
And Nick, the Collingwood Hordes will be asking questions about Nathan Buckley, because it's a win-loss thing, coaching, and all of a sudden things aren't going well.
Yeah, I'm sure people are frustrated. I know he certainly would be frustrated, but I think when you look at the season as a whole and where they're at in their list, I think people are pretty comfortable. Similar to GWS. I mean, both teams had a really good first half of the season and looked really promising and a chance to play finals, but in the end, both teams have fallen away when they haven't taken those opportunities in the middle part of the year. So I think that while both teams and both coaches are extremely frustrated, I think fans just have to understand that they've both got really good lists, and I think that everyone understands that with Collingwood. While you don't want to be losing by 91 points, I know that there'll be a lot of finger pointing, a lot of questions asked. They're in the right direction as a club.
Exciting times at Tigerland. Time for a break. Steve, tell us what happens to Luke Hodge and Neil Danaher. He continues to do amazing things in his battle against MND. Yesterday, his old mate joined him with the fart. Chris Newman announces retirement during the week. The Cats continue to bring Colts into the world. Sons, Saints, I think Frawley, Burke, Harvey, all they've had is girls. Tigers got a problem at the moment. You, Koch and Newey have had 4 kids between you. How many father-sons are there?
I'm not sure we've got too many at the moment.
There's none between you 3.
None between us, but yeah, look, I'll try again. Hopefully I'll get a little boy, but I don't know whether Newey said he's going to go again. He's resigned to the fact that he thinks he's just going to have girls right the way through, so I'm not sure whether he'll go again.
And Hamish, speaking about kids, you had your hands full on Friday night. We had a very entertaining Oz kicker, so let's have a look at her.
Now, you've got an opportunity on national TV to dance and sing. Do you want to do that? Okay, hop up. Give it a bit of shake it off.
Shake it off. I shake it off. Shake it off.
Now, crank it up just a bit louder.
I shake it off. Shake it off.
Perfect, well done. See you at the grand final. Little something. Richo, yours.
I tell you what, I was nervous when the fist was out there. There wasn't anything coming back, but we're about halfway through the third quarter when we finished that. They left it very late. Newey said goodbye during the week. He's been a remarkable servant.
He certainly has. He's been one of my best mates since I've been there at the club. He's the last one that I started with, so obviously Axel went the week or so before. So, yeah, he's one of the best captains I've played under and just really set up the way we go about things now at the footy club. As you can see there, that bum part that he has ran with, it's certainly changed a bit over the years, but one of the best blokes you'll ever meet.
4 years as captain, just a couple of finals so far, hopefully more finals just around the corner. Let's hear from Chris during the week.
Yeah, my time's come, boys. It's just sort of got to a point where I just couldn't really give much more. To my mum that's made all the sacrifices throughout my playing career, throughout my life. Thank you so much. Been cutting a few onions in the back.
Have there always been tears and we haven't seen them, but now with all this new media we see them? Has there always been crying speeches?
Well, I think it's an emotional part of a footballer's career. We see Newey there. Did Axel Foley get up and do something similar?
Yeah, he did very similar, but Axel was quite composed. I thought he'd be a bit of a crier, more of a sweater, Axel. He sweats up quite a bit, but yeah, both of them spoke very well.
An outstanding player, Nathan Foley, before he was really fooled by injury. For a period there, it looked like Richmond with Deledio, Koch and Martin and Foley was going to have one of the best midfields in the comp. It's still very good, but with Foley at his best, would have been a pretty scary proposition for opposition teams.
07, he was brilliant, and then injuries really let him down. Very quick hands here, Brett. Is it true that you performed the haka with your top off in front of a large group of family and friends?
Yeah, that is true.
When was that?
Oh, we went to New Zealand for a camp and we learned how to do it, so okay. we thought we'd show our family and friends. I used to take a few boys up there dirt bike riding, and we did it after a couple of beers.
Okay.
Lids, is it true you refer to yourself as the Mayor of Melbourne?
No, that is Sean, actually, who refers to me as that.
So you're the Mayoress?
Yeah, I suppose.
Cam Newton came out earlier in the year, the Carolina Panthers quarterback. Jared Haynes been the first NRL player to transition. Did he say you were the first AFL player?
Yeah, he told me that I could probably get... No, he certainly didn't. He told me I was rubbish. I did follow him around like a bad smell, though. Spent a lot of time with him and learned some good things.
We're out of time, Lethal, so you can save your question for the soapbox. Great to see you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well done, Lethal. I'll see you very shortly. Sunday footy still to come. I'll see you next Sunday, 10 a.m. Bye for now.